For the past several decades, the average size of an American house has been steadily growing and now stands at more than 2,000 square feet. But recently, a social movement that rails against the bigger is better philosophy has been gaining traction. Today on Ready, Set, Renovate, we meet a couple who is embracing the tiny house lifestyle. Your husband says we're moving into a tiny house. What did you say?
You're crazy.
Most people would agree that this is crazy tiny, with just 150 square feet of living space. So what was it like the first time you were walking into this house?
It seemed a little bit small.
Wow. Teensy. While it might test the strength of a marriage to live in such close quarters with your spouse and 2 dogs, for Bonnie, it was a special kind of challenge.
Small spaces, elevators, anything. I'm very claustrophobic, so.
Oh my goodness.
But I've adjusted. I like being in here on this level. It's still a challenge for me sometimes when I have to climb up to the loft to go to sleep.
Since they moved in 6 months ago, Bonnie has been fine-tuning her bedtime routine.
Be careful going up the stairs.
Okay.
Knowing that it's going to get a little bit smaller when you get up here.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, and don't try to stand up or put your head up or anything, and you just kind of climb on up in here.
This is where you guys sleep every night?
This is where we sleep every night, and first thing I do when I get up in here is I typically will just open up the windows because I have to have ventilation, and it'll seem like there's extra space for me.
This must have been incredibly hard for you.
Yes. First time that I came up here, I just told my husband, I said, let me just lay down and get adjusted to the space, open the windows, I turn on my little fan, and then just try to breathe.
I think you get the Wife of the Year award for being willing to do this.
Yay!
The plan to live tiny may have gone down a little easier with Bonnie because it was never meant to be forever. The Butlers bought this lot and decided to build a 1,900 square foot house. The tiny house entered the picture as a way to save time and money during construction.
We live an hour away, and to build a house and drive back and forth just didn't work. We have the little corner here of the lot that we fenced in for ourselves and our dogs and put the tiny house in there so we could have a little living area, a little lot to live in while I could work there.
With the big house nearly complete, the Butlers are starting a brand new construction project on the tiny house. The couple will spend about 2 weeks making improvements in hopes of selling it or renting it.
We've got about 20 grand in it right now. And if we can get away with between 5,000 and 10,000 in renovations, that'd be great.
And Robin says he'll add some furniture that will be multifunctional, as well as a fresh coat of paint, some new window treatments, and a new door for the bathroom. Outside, Robin will remove the skirting and reinforce the flooring from underneath the house.
The floor joists on those are setting on 4x4s, and I want to double up those floor joists to make it a little bit stronger because inside you can feel a little squeaking on the flooring.
He's already dressed up the sides of the house with some creative waterproofing.
We have this canvas that I had an artist paint live edge siding on it.
This is canvas?
Yes, it's flat. It's not, I mean, from a distance it really looks like siding, but it was a mural that was painted by an artist.
He'll also refine and protect the raw wood up front.
This is the cedar siding, and in order to
this looks nice. I like
this.
this.
Yeah, it is. It is a good look, and this is weathered, so we'd like to maybe put a sealer on it.
Robin also plans to make improvements and safety upgrades that will allow him to take advantage of a new registration and certification program.
With no registration, we can get good insurance through a national insurance company called Foremost. And so I'd like to upgrade some of the things in the house, do the inspections, and then get a NOAA registered tiny house. And then whether I rent it or whether I sell it, you know, it's going to add to the value.
The number of tiny houses is estimated to be somewhere around 10,000 in the U.S. And as the numbers continue to grow, so does a need for standardized building and safety codes. In 2016, the National Organization of Alternative Housing, or NOAA for short, was created. NOAA has developed a new set of guidelines, especially for tiny houses.
This is a group that brings all that together in one place and lets the country know that this is what a tiny home is, and this is how it's built, And these are why they're good. This is why we have standards that are adhered to, and you know what to expect from one.
Leary says his company does about 10 third-party inspections a day for NOAA. And because every tiny house is different, every inspection is different.
In Florida, we have to be certain of the fact that the hurricane strapping meets the South Florida building codes. In California, you have to be certain that certain things are met for the earthquake codes. In the north, you have to be certain that your roofing meets the snow load standards. So there's a lot of different things to consider on each of these homes.
Another complication is that a home may meet standards in one part of the country, but because tiny homeowners can easily pick up and move, the standards have to account for lots of different scenarios.
Somebody that builds one in Florida may end up with it in California. So you have to consider all the variables in there when you certify the home.
Coming up next on Ready, Set, Renovate, we see Robin getting the tiny house ready for inspection from the ground up.
And then when we get the insulation in that the inspector wants, we're going to put this black covering here.
While Bonnie adds her own splash of black inside.
We're gonna, freshen up the paint on the walls, keep it nice and light. So I think that would be a nice contrast.